Welcome back, everyone. I'm happy to say that we have Elise Krantz here, another College Coach colleague, and I will say researcher extraordinaire. I believe her mother is a librarian and she got all her mother's genes. So today Elise is going to be helping us out on how to research majors. And full disclosure, Elise, I didn't research majors at all. I mean, it worked out for me, but I had a catalog. I think I read through a couple of the political science classes and that was it. And then I switched to history when I got there anyway. So we are recommending that you are more organized than I am. I just want to make sure you know that if you've never thought of doing this, you're not alone. All right, Elisa, let's dig right in. What's a kind of an initial way that a student who either wants to know more about a major or is undecided and needs to learn about a few different majors, what are some steps that they can take?
So I know a lot of students often approach this process in one of two formats. One is I know exactly what I want to study, right? I am gung-ho, I'm ready, whether it's I want to be a teacher or I know I want to be pre-med, or they have this idea. And so they go into the process very focused on a particular major, and we can talk about that. And then there's for students for whom they haven't quite either discovered what it is that gets them super excited to learn, or they're just saturated by lots of different options, right? And they can't yet narrow it down. So for some students, it's overwhelming and they don't know even where to begin. But I would suggest that even for the students that think there is one major and that's right for me, I think there's still a lot of room that can be done in terms of the research process before they get to the application side, just to make sure that whatever that major is really going to be what they have in their minds as being how it's going to play out in real life.
I think that's really important. I mean, this especially seems to happen with business and computer science majors. These are both majors that rely very heavily on mathematics. And I regularly talk to students who don't like math, who might want to go into, and computer science in particular is so mathematically heavy and it's shocking to them. They're like, but I did well in my computer science class. And I'm like, yeah, but as you progress through the field, it's going to be more mathematically dependent. And then even business, you're going to have to take probably at least one math class. And if you want finance or accounting, guess what? It's going to be even more. So is that something you run into a lot as well?
So often. I had a conversation recently actually with a student who said pre-med, I'm definitely pre-med. But when I asked her, well, tell me about some of your favorite classes, it was English and then history and then, oh, and I guess science is okay too. And I'm thinking, do you know how much science is going to be involved in a pre-med curriculum? And sometimes when I meet with those students who are excited about business, when we're talking about, especially when trying to figure out their essays where they have to answer why business, for example, they don't know how to answer because they don't know what a business major really means. They don't understand what the types of classes are and what exactly they'll be studying. They know they want to make money. They know they might be interested in the stock market, but they don't know what that means in terms of satisfying 4 years of requirements within a particular field. So that's why the research can be so helpful.
Yeah, and I'm just going to put in a little plug. This is not the topic of today's thing, but you don't have to major in business to go into business. So that's the good news. If you research business and you say, I do not want to do this major, there are other pathways to business. So, all right, but let's dig right in. What are some of the ways that students can start to find out, more about different majors and research them?
So there's a couple of resources. The first will be much more direct, and we can actually start here. It's with the College Board website. They have a section called Big Future. And if you like, I can do a quick screen share and we can show everybody how it works.
That sounds great. All right. So just for everybody who's listening to this on the podcast, we will describe what we're looking at, but I do recommend that you go online to blog.getintocollege.com and you can look up today's, you can get the link to this so that you can watch it online as well.
Okay, so I'll do a screen share. So the way to find this information, you can go, usually I go into the search engine and I'll type in College Board, Big Future, Major, and Career, because that's the site that we're going to. The College Board, they recently redid their Big Future website with their college search tool. Not a huge fan personally,
Me
but
neither.
this site has not changed. So hooray for the majors and careers. So once you get to the major and career search, you'll see the screen is divided up into different types of majors in very broad categories, and then different types of careers, again, very, very broad categories. There is a search box on the page that if you wanted to type in the name of a major or type in a career, you can find it quickly that way. But if you're not sure, or you just like browsing, you like going into the library and just like looking at the whole shelf of options, then looking at the categories here can be fascinating. So for example, here under major categories, you'll see business is listed as the second option with a little plus next to it. And then when I click on the plus, it's going to open up another category. And when I click on that again, I'll see within business, there are a huge range of options. And most of these expand even further. So there's the accounting and finance group of majors, which I could then open up, and there's a huge range under that. I'm going to close it for a second. There's general business management administration. There's hospitality administration. There's human resources. There's lots and lots of options. So for someone who says, I want business, just know for that there's not just one business major necessarily. There could be 15 or 20 even majors within a particular college. Lots of choices to look at.
Yeah. And I love the whole range. I mean, there's, credit management, right? Like you can even, I think a subsection of business sometimes is things like construction management. These are things that I really hadn't heard of going to a traditional liberal arts and sciences college, but you can find out about all of them on the Big Future website.
And there's not going to be, not every college obviously is going to have all of these options, but it can be such a great starting point. And I'll show you what happens when you click on one of these. So let's say, for example, you're thinking about finance, which is a very common concentration within the business major, or it could be a separate track, a separate major within for a college within the School of Business. So when I click on finance, it's going to bring me to sort of like a day in the life of what a finance major is all about. And there's a little description here. There are some suggestions for the types of ways to think about the strength of a college's finance major. There's suggested high school classes that will help prepare you for that finance major. And then it lists some generic, but still interesting college class titles of courses you might take when you're in college if you were a finance major. So lots of interesting facts to look at here. And then at the bottom, which is sort of nice, is related majors. So let's say after reading this, you say, ooh, I like this idea of finance. What else might be out there that's similar to finance? You could then link to accounting or economics or insurance, for example, to see some other choices.
Yeah, I love this website and I send students to it all the time. And it's a great reference for me because, again, like I don't know about how to prepare for every single major. I have a good grasp of some of the business stuff because it's so common, but so students, I had to research nursing. I didn't really know what led to that as one example.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I guess one other area I wanted to point out, since we mentioned it earlier, was computer science, right? So sometimes it's hard to even find where these are, but that's the joy in just sort of clicking through all the pluses. Computer science lives in the science, math, and technology category. And then you go down and you'll see computer and information science. And you think, well, that's just one major, right? It's like, nope, there's lots of specialties within computer science even. And when you are inside of a particular category, I didn't show this to you on the previous page, this site does link you to the College Board's college search page. So here on the right-hand side, it says what colleges offer a major in computer science, find out now. If you click on that, it will take you to the other part of the Big Future website that will show you colleges that offer computer science.
Yeah, it's so exciting to look at all this.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And I see the helpful high school courses, etc. So for any particular major or degree, they're going to give you all this information.
So this is a great starting point, right? So I think, especially if you're not sure of what you want to study, or again, if you're pretty sure, but you just want to confirm it, this is a nice starting point. But because this is the College Board website, this isn't going to be as specific as what you will find at each individual school's website, where they talk about their unique majors and the types of classes that will be required for the major. So if you want, you can take a look at that. I don't know if you had some other talk, if there were other questions we wanted to talk about first, or we could turn on over to a university website.
Yeah, no, let's move to a university website. And I'm with you. Like, I'm really want to encourage students to come to the Big Future College Board website and click around. So based on what you've discussed already, but now let's take it to a university or college.
Right. So the University of Illinois is on my mind right now because the Common Application, for those of you who are following, it is recently rolled over. It recently updated for this new admission cycle. And the University of Illinois is one of the new schools that will be accepting the Common Application this year. So I was on their website already looking at some things. I thought, this is a nice website to use as an example. Every college website hides this information in a slightly different place. Sometimes it's in the admissions part of the website, sometimes it's in the academics part, but generally, if you go into your internet search and browser and you type in the name of the school, for example, University of Illinois, and then majors, it will take you to the right place. So for the University of Illinois here, this is their entire list of majors, and it has an A to Z listing here, and it's pages upon pages showing you just their undergraduate programs. So for those who really like, looking at all their options, this could be a fun way to get into it. But for smaller schools, of course, the list won't seem as overwhelming. They may only have 50 majors to choose from, let's say, not like probably the 500 or so that it looks like here. But when you click on a major, I'm going to show you what happens. Again, every school is going to be a little bit different, but let's go into, since we were talking about computer science most recently, let's go to the C's here. And you'll see, at least at the University of Illinois, again, every school's different, they have some really interesting interdisciplinary computer science majors, meaning that they're combining computer science with another field altogether. And sometimes it's really different, like computer science and music, or computer science and linguistics. How cool. Or philosophy. I know that's.
Or anthropology. I mean, I can imagine linguistics, right? Because computer science is about a language of computers, but anthropology, never even thought of something like that.
So really neat ways to see what's available at the schools by looking at their list of majors. But when you click on let's click on the original, the main computer science major here, what it's nice, it gives you a nice description of what this program is at the University of Illinois. And then within degree requirements, this is where it gets really exciting. Well, I think it does. It tells you exactly what classes you'll need to take to graduate with this major. So this is the time when students will say, well, I want business, but I don't really know what that means. This will tell you what that means, because if you are interested in, here we are, computer science, okay, I'm going to be taking, here's looks like an ethics class, it looks like. I'll be taking definitely some calculus. Here's some physics that I'll be taking. And then here's where it's really interesting, the technical core, they call it here. And when you click, so this, where it says example here, CS 124, that's their introduction to computer science class. So every class has a number and then a title of the class. But you wonder, well, what's that? Maybe I can guess what that is, but I have no idea what discrete structures is. You can click on the link and it explains it for you. It's like, oh, okay. I get it now. Like, and this is how you can start to figure out is if these are the sorts of classes that seem interesting to you, like if you go through and click through all of these and they all still seem really exciting, then maybe computer science would be the right major for you. But if you're getting through it and you're like, oh, I didn't realize that's what it meant I didn't realize I'd be taking this much math, or I didn't realize that I wouldn't be able to do as much, have as much room for my electives.
Mm-hmm.
You'll know by going through it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Exactly. And I think that's an important note too, is that it's not just about all the math, but it is about how much room do you have for electives? How much flexibility might there be? I mean, we see the University of Illinois has a lot of like kind of really interesting combined majors with computer science, but I talk to students who want to do creative writing and all kinds of other things. And so, think carefully about what you're going to have time to do.
Exactly. So that was it for my little screen share. So I hope that was fun looking at the different options. And again, sometimes it's hard to find the course descriptions for the different classes. Majors, the list of majors is usually available somewhere obvious, but if you're trying to find some of those, what does this class actually entail? Sometimes you have to go find the course catalog for that. But again, a search on their main website can usually take you to the course catalog for most colleges.
Mm-hmm. I wonder why, just while we're on here and we have time, could we do a screen share of like a business major? Would that be possible? Because I, as you and I have discussed, that's the one where there might be some of the most misunderstandings. So I'd love to see that. Yeah.
So I went to B. Look, there's no business. So what does that mean?
Right.
It means that at some colleges, the business major isn't always just called business. It might be called management, or it might be under economics. So sometimes it takes a little bit of digging to find exactly where it is. I'm going to do a find here and do a search for business and see where business pops up. So there's a business within crop sciences. There's a business within German studies.
Wow. That's another new one. Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. All these amazing, this is why you could see why I like researching. It gets
right.
So here's management and a Bachelor of Science in Management. And there's more. I know that if you go within the Illinois, the School of Business, like their homepage, you'll find a tighter list of their majors. This again is the entire university, what they offer. So here we are. What does a management major really mean here, right? So we're going to click on the degree requirements. And what they did here for this major, I noted they spell out for you. So you're not just taking business classes, you have to complete general education requirements, which are sort of like in high school, right? When you have to take a little bit of English, a little bit of math, a little bit of this to graduate. Same thing in college. These are very flexible requirements. So you have to take something, for example, within literature and the arts. You have to take one or two classes within history or philosophy. So those are some general, broader classes to take. But here we go, core requirements for the management major. So like accounting. So that's sort of like a yes. A lot of us have heard of accounting before, but business dynamics. What does that mean, right? So you can learn about that here and get a sense for what that is, what the course is all about. Here it talks about teamwork and leadership skills. You're like, okay, I like the sound of that, right? So the legal environment of business. So that's interesting. Principles of marketing, business policy and strategy. So there's
public speaking, which is terrifying for some students, but I think is important if you're going to be a business person.
Right. And so these are all, it looks like all required. It's 54 hours of classes that that you must take as a management major at the University of Illinois. So
can you scroll back up too? One of the things I wanted to highlight is language other than English. Completion of a third semester or equivalent of a language other than English is required. Completion of 3 years in high school satisfies this requirement. This is again a little off topic, but I want to highlight it because I talk to students and parents both who say, why is this important? I'm going into business. Well, the colleges and universities think it's important too. And it's because they want you to have that global literacy. And I'm looking at the screen here too, and they have a global business perspectives. So just like to throw those things out there.
Yes. Yep. We often say, you need a lot of math or some economics, those types of classes to be ready for a business major, but you're absolutely right. They need you to be a strong writer. They need you to it's helpful to have those diverse perspectives that other classes can offer you. And And I have seen actually a lot of business programs that have a language study abroad program, so that people who want to do international business, for example, can spend a year or so in another country learning about business too, which is exciting.
Mm-hmm. All right, great, Elise. Thanks so much.
My pleasure.
Yeah. So we have just a few minutes left. Any sort of last wrap up? I mean, I'm with you. I think this kind of thing is really, really fun. So I know it's hard to find things, but I guess I would personally just emphasize you're looking for the catalog of courses. It's the document that the students use themselves. This is not a bright, shiny object designed to attract you. It's actually for the students. And so there's really good information in there.
Yeah. And, something that I was discussing with some of our colleagues before the show was, for students who are undecided and they have these, myriad of options of what they could be studying. What if you're not sure and going in undecided? I just want to put out there that is 100% okay. So many students apply as undecided on their applications. And for most colleges, you're not declaring your official major until the end of your sophomore year. That's from, there are some instances like for engineering, for example, I know that's common, you declare earlier. Some universities, they enter you into a particular major from the very beginning, but for the majority of schools that I have researched and have worked at, you have 2 full years to explore, try different classes before you have to officially designate what major you'll be committing to.
All right. Thanks so much, Elise.
My pleasure.
Okay. All right. And thanks so much to Beth and Kara. If you're interested, by the way, in learning about whether colleges care about community service, whether to prep for the PSAT, tune in to our show next week on August 19th. And finally, I want to remind you that you don't have to listen to our shows live. Every show is accessible 24/7 on the Voice America website. And you can also download every show for free on iTunes. And by the way, if you listen to iTunes, please rate us so that other people can find us. We'd really appreciate it. And again, if you want to search for a particular show topic, you want to watch the video, you can go to our blog page online at blog.getintocollege.com. And don't forget, we're here every Thursday at 4 Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific.